I lost 40 pounds. And like most people, I assumed that meant I was healthier. When I compared my DEXA scans from before and after the 40 pounds, I found out my body changed in ways that I did not expect. So in this video, I'm comparing my DEXA scan results from before and after losing 40 pounds. And I'm also showing you exactly what that weight loss did to my fat, muscle, metabolism, and bones. Make sure to stick around till the end because I'll also share why losing weight alone doesn't always mean getting healthier. You may be wondering why I did the body scans in the first place, because it's not a common thing to do. Most people don't do body scans. I did the body scans for the same reason we take our car to a mechanic for a diagnostic before a repair, because weight loss is not just about the weight. Blood work and scans, they show what's happening beneath the surface, things you would never see just by looking in the mirror or stepping on a scale. Before we get into the details, I want to say thank you to Nourish for partnering with me on this video. Nourish is a platform that's making it easier than ever for people to work with registered dietitians. Nourish makes it so easy to meet with a dietitian right in the comfort of your home on Zoom. And I'll share more about my personal experience with them a little later in this video. Before I share my results, let me quickly explain what a DEXA scan is and what it measures. A DEXA scan is a type of X-ray that looks at body composition. It's often used to screen for osteoporosis in elderly people, but it's also super helpful for people who are on a weight loss journey, especially those who are trying to lose fat without losing muscle. So the first thing it looks at is body fat percentage. This is how much your total weight is fat. It also looks at visceral fat. This is the fat that sits around your organs, like your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, etc. It also looks at lean muscle mass. This is the amount of muscle tissue you have. It looks at bone density. So it looks at how strong your bones are. And from those numbers, it estimates your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. Basically, how many calories your body burns at rest when you're not doing anything. So now that we know the basics, let me show you how my numbers changed and what they revealed about my health after losing 40 pounds. Let's start with the first number most people want to know, body fat percentage. My total body fat percentage dropped from 41.9% to 36.5%. That's a decrease of 5.4 percentage points. For women in their 30s, the typical healthy range is about 21 to 33%. At 36.5%, I'm still above that range, but I'm moving closer to the recommended number. And what matters most is that I now have less fat overall, especially in my belly area. That brings us to the belly fat, also referred to as visceral fat. This is the dangerous kind of fat that builds up around your liver, pancreas, kidneys, and intestines. Too much visceral fat is linked to diabetes, fatty liver, and heart disease. So the more fat you have around your belly, the higher risk you have at developing diabetes, fatty liver, and heart disease. Now, a DEXA scan doesn't always give a direct number for visceral fat. So it uses 3 markers to try to figure it out. The first marker is android fat percentage. This is the percentage of fat around your waist and stomach. The second marker is the gynoid fat percentage. This is the percentage of fat around your hips and thighs and basically the lower body. The third marker is the ratio between the android fat percentage and the gynoid fat percentage. So the third marker basically takes the ratio between your stomach and waist fat percentage divided by your hips and thighs fat percentage. So the android to gynoid ratio, ideally you want the number to be below 1. If you have a number less than 1, basically means you carry less fat on your upper body compared to your lower body, and vice versa. So if your number is above 1, this means you have more fat on your upper body compared to your lower body. And this is not ideal because upper body fat increases the risk of metabolic syndrome. So here's my results. My android fat, again, the fat around my belly and waist, dropped from 44.3% to 31.5%. That's about a 28% decrease. My gynoid fat, which is the fat on my hips and thighs and lower body, dropped from 49.8% to 43.2%. This is about a 13% decrease. So I lost more fat on my upper body than I did on my lower body. My AG ratio, which is the ratio of my upper body fat percentage compared to my lower body percentage, improved from 0.8 to 0.73. It was less than 1 to begin with. And the fact that it went even lower, that's even better. Remember, we want the number to be less than 1, and I started at 0.89. Overall, the fat on my upper body dropped by 15.6 pounds. That's a huge reduction in my belly fat. And honestly, one of the biggest wins from this scan and the weight loss overall. But here's where things got a little tricky. My lean muscle mass dropped. It went from 118 pounds to 106.7 pounds. So I lost about 11 pounds of muscle. And losing that much muscle is not ideal. Some muscle loss along with fat loss is expected during weight loss, but 11 pounds of muscle mass is not ideal. Not to me anyway. Muscle is very important. It helps support your metabolism, strength, and bone health as you age. Honestly, this was one of the biggest surprises from the scan. And this explains why my metabolism slowed down more than I expected. As I was reviewing my results, I realized losing fat is great. But if I'm also losing muscle, I'm really just setting myself back. And at that moment, I realized I need to make some changes to protect my muscle and to support my metabolism. But also, I realized this is not something that I can figure out on my own. That's why I decided to get professional guidance. And that's where Nourish came in. If you've never heard of Nourish, Nourish is a platform that provides access to registered dietitians. It is the easiest way to meet with a dietitian right from home on Zoom. One of the best things and the highlight of Nourish is that Nourish accepts insurance in all 50 states. Most people don't even pay anything out of pocket. In fact, 94% of people pay $0. So I had an amazing session with one of their registered dietitians. What I appreciated most about my session was how personalized it was. My dietitian didn't just give me a generic plan. First, she asked about me. Then she asked about my goals, what I've tried before, what have not worked. She even checked to see if talking about weight was triggering to me. I really appreciated that. So since I normally eat one meal, I was afraid to really tell her that, thinking she was going to judge me, but she did the opposite. She worked around my preferences and my schedule and helped me create a strategy that I could actually try. So after talking to her and telling her what I usually eat and what time I eat and all the good stuff, she determined that I am not taking in enough protein by eating one meal a day. So together we agreed that instead of eating one meal a day, I'm going to be eating 2 meals a day, or 1 meal and 1 meal replacement in form of a protein shake. So one thing I really emphasized to her was the fact that I wanted to keep my fasting to at least 16-hour window of fasting and then have an 8-hour of eating window. So what we came up with was I would break my fast at 2 p.m. and have a protein shake. And that way I wasn't too full to have dinner at my usual eating time at 6 p.m. And together we also set a goal to hit 110 grams of protein daily. This was a realistic goal to help support my muscles, help me build strength while still keeping my intermittent fasting routine. And this is what sets registered dietitians apart. They don't just tell you what to eat. They help you build sustainable habits and skills. So they can help with things like meal prepping ideas, grocery shopping lists, and they can even act as your accountability partner. Another thing that is worth mentioning about Nourish is that every provider on their platform is a registered dietitian nutritionist, which means they've gone through accredited education and training, passed a national board exam, and complete ongoing education every year. And being in the healthcare field myself, I really appreciate that. And after my first session with my dietitian, I can honestly say I'm so honored to be partnering with Nourish. So if you are on a weight loss journey, or if you've been wanting expert guidance and you have been curious about it but didn't know how to start or where to start, Nourish is a great place to start. You can sign up in under 5 minutes using my link, which I will put in the description below, and set your first appointment. And just so you know, Nourish is only available in the United States. So if you're here, this is one of the easiest ways to get personalized nutrition support. Thank you, Nourish, for sponsoring this video. So next, let's talk about my basal metabolic rate, because this is another area that the DEXA scan looked at. Remember, the basal metabolic rate is the amount of calorie that your body burns at rest when you're not doing anything. On my scan, it dropped from about 1525 calories per day to 1415. This shows that my metabolism slowed down. And while that 110 calorie drop might not seem like much, it adds up. Less muscle, or the fact that I lost muscle mass, means lower metabolism, which can make maintaining weight loss harder. This is exactly why working with Nourish is probably one of the best decisions I've made in my journey so far. By working with a professional dietitian to find ways to increase my protein intake and rebuild my muscle, I'm hoping that my metabolism and my basal metabolic rate will improve over time. Also, this experience has taught me one thing, and that is protecting muscle is just as important as losing fat. We can't do one or the other. We have to do both. Next up is my bone density. While my metabolism slowed down, this part really encouraged me, because even though I lost muscle, my bone density actually improved. Yay! One of the best results of this scan was honestly my bone density. My T-score went from 3.3 to 3.5. which is well above average. For context, a normal T-score is between -1 and +1. Anything above +1 is considered stronger than normal. So having a T-score of 3.5 is amazing, especially since I'm in my 30s and soon moving into the 40s and the M word that I don't want to say out loud. You know what it is, ladies. Anyway, let's get back to the subject. So my bones are not only healthy, they are getting stronger. And the best part, by fueling my body better and building more muscle, I will be supporting my bones even more in the future, because more muscle mass means stronger bones. So let's do a little recap. Overall, I lost 24 pounds of fat.
It's 5 pounds of fat. If you got 5 pounds of fat, this is what you have in your body.
Yeah, let me say that again. 24 pounds of fat. Most of what I lost was from my belly area, where the dangerous fat sits. My bone density improved, but I also lost 11 pounds of muscle, and my metabolism slowed down. The biggest lesson here is that losing weight by itself doesn't always equal better health. The scale only tells us part of the story. Things like getting DEXA scans and blood work can tell us more than what we see on the surface. My DEXA scan results showed me that I need to focus not just on fat loss, but on protecting my muscle and supporting my metabolism. And this is exactly why I chose to do the scans in the first place. Going back to the analogy that I gave you earlier, think about getting your blood work done and scans if necessary, like taking your car to a mechanic to get a diagnostic before you start fixing it. You can't just look outside the car. You need someone to lift the hood, get under the car, or do an x-ray of the entire car to really see what's happening inside. It's the same with our health. Blood work and scans look beneath the surface and reveal things that we can't see with our eyes. Losing weight doesn't automatically mean you're healthy or fit. Having labs and scans is like having a compass or a GPS. They point you in the right direction and show you which adjustments to make. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Don't just chase the numbers on the scale. Pay attention to what's happening beneath the surface. Your muscle, your bones, your energy. That's what real health is about. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you want professional support and accountability like I did, reach out to registered dietitians on the Nourish platform, the link for which you will find right in the description. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I will see you next time. Ciao.